So, New York recently passed a new gun law that will prevent people from carrying guns in many popular places in New York City. Like, they're banned definitely in Times Square, healthcare facilities, childcare, playgrounds, libraries, zoos.
Sure.
It's a very long list of anywhere where a mass shooting could happen.
That's so vague. Like anywhere a mass shooting can happen, there's 8 million people in New York. You just shoot out your window in New York and like you've caused a mass shooting. Like what are you talking about? Welcome to the Politically Asian Podcast. We're just two Asian American comedians talking about politics and the Asian American community in hopes of getting more Asians to talk about politics. We are coming at you live from Brooklyn, New York. My name is Jerry Lim. My pronouns are they, them, and you can find me across the internet at Jerryaki. That's GERRIEYAKI. And my co-host...
Hey, my name is Aaron Yin. My pronouns are he, him, and you can find me on social media at Aaron Flarin. That's AARONFLARIN.
Cool. And as always, we're going to start with our Practice What You Preach segment where, on the pod, we talk a lot about politics, but it's also important to do things. So each week we share one thing we did related to our politics and or organizing. I'll go first this week. And today was not today, but this week was really cool because my coworkers and I on my team had the idea to meet on like a Google Meet and do our mid-year performance reviews with each other. So if you don't know what a mid-year performance review is basically your coworkers give feedback about you and it's like on the record and all that. But we decided to talk about it before writing anything down.
Oh,
so
okay.
if there was anything negative, you would just tell the person face to face instead of just like writing it. And when it came down to like actually turn in our reviews for each other, we all wrote long paragraphs for strengths and then like one line, barely one line for the weakness. Like basically like my biggest weakness is my attention to detail. You know what I mean? Like the kind of bullshit thing you say in an interview. Which is really cool because the team sounded pretty good in our reviews, and I think everyone might be up for a raise or promotion, depending if everything continues to go well. So, yeah, pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, it's like, okay, you still deliver the feedback, which is, I guess, what the purpose of the review is, right? But you also help each other make a lot more money by making the negatives only be said on video.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, I guess it's good that you have face-to-face contact when you're doing it. That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
When do you hear back about the reviews? About the reviews.
Well, we did the feedback session with each other a little bit ago, and we heard from our feedback this week. So I'm talking about like the results of us doing that.
Oh shit! Oh wow! Yeah. Wait, that's really cool. Nice. Look at this organizing in the workplace going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Wow. Nice. How do you feel about this?
I feel pretty good. I mean, like, first off, we didn't really tell each other what we were going to write for the strengths, right? Like, it was like, if you have something nice to say, then say it, which was great because, everyone got back long paragraphs about how great they are. It was more important to do like the weakness stuff because you do want to kind of address it, but it's also important that you don't have a paper trail of negative comments. That's what I learned in my last job is just like the importance of receipts essentially is like whether you have them or not can be like a game changer.
Got it. So for all the PA listeners who work in an office, take note about this, okay?
We'll talk with your coworkers.
Yeah, we'll talk next mid-year review, okay?
Yeah, what about you?
Yeah, this week was also a really exciting week for me. So, over the past few episodes, I've been talking about this big protest going on with home care workers who are unionized, protesting in front of their own union. For a summary, I would just Google PIX 11, so PIX 11. That's like a very big local New York City news channel. Home care worker protest. The protest happened on Wednesday. Like over 200, unionized home care workers showed up. It was wild. We like filled up the sidewalk and we spilled over to the street. NYPD had to block off one of the main streets in Herald Square. And then afterwards, because the union didn't come out to talk to the workers, they started doing a sit-in, and now is day 3 of the sit-in. So I was actually there this morning as well. There were like 50 of them there, just all lined up, sitting in front of the union. these are all, elderly like Chinese immigrant women, right? It's like it's just it's amazing to see. And yeah, I'm feeling really inspired about it, and I might go back after this podcast recording.
Yeah. Are they still there?
Yeah, they're still there. They go until like about like 5 or 6 every day, and they got there at 7 a.m. this morning, so it's a really long sit-in every day.
Wow, that's pretty wild. It's also cool to hear that it's older folks that are like out there on the literal front lines.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, yo, if you're an Asian person who hesitates to get involved in any kind of organizing, like, you have many old Asian people who, English is not even their first language. Many of them don't even speak English, like, still out here doing it.
Yeah, I guess like, are they gonna keep sitting in? Like, what's like the plan until the union like meets their requests or what?
No, I think this might be the last day or second to last day of the sit-in, depending on what they do for Labor Day. But the important thing is there's a bill coming up on September 6th. There's a hearing for it, the No More 24 Act. This is what all the workers are asking for, to split 24-hour shifts into 12 and 12. 1199 is lobbying insanely hard against this bill. Like, the more I realize from these protests is like 1199 SEIU is less of a, it's a big union and also just essentially a big lobbying group. But yeah, they are spending so much trying to get this bill to not pass. But it's only in New York City that this 24-hour shift thing is still a thing. Upstate New York, they already split the shifts into like 888 or 1212.
Can people still like email /write their /call the representative to do something about that?
Oh yeah, I think it's like really important to do that actually. And there's also a bit.ly on the Youth Against Sweatshops Instagram page. Yeah, it's really important for people to just email their city council member, submit a written testimony, because these lobbying groups are literally calling like 24/7.
Yeah, if you live in New York, that's a super easy thing to do that you can participate in. I did it. It literally took like 5 seconds. It comes like with a pre-filled template, so it was like super easy. Tech for good, right?
Tech for good. Yeah, just pre-written email templates. Literally clicking like 3 buttons. It's so good.
All right. Well, let's get into the news material for this week. First up, let's talk about this study that was done about how nearly 1/3 of low-income Asian women now live in states with limited abortion access. This is in the wake of Roe v. Wade. Aaron, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I thought this article was good, first of all, because it highlighted a lot of Asian, ethnicities that are the ones suffering from it that we don't hear about. So many of the women affected are like Pakistani women, Burmese women, Nepalese women, Thai women, who live in like Texas and a lot of other states where abortion is being heavily restricted right now. I thought it was really good to highlight, not just, like Chinese, Korean, Japanese women all the time.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too. Like, like reverse representation. Like it was literally the chart that on this article was primarily Southeast Asian, South Asian, and Pacific Islander people. Like everyone was represented except for East Asians, I think. And it's split between a couple of states, but I think a lot about like Texas and Florida, especially Texas, because Houston is like a huge hub for just Asian people.
Yeah,
and that's like why I don't know. So you're from Arkansas. I don't know. Arkansas is part of the South, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. Well, I'm from the deep South, which, that's why I'll always get mad when like people say like, oh, like the South just needs to be its own country. Like forget about them, blah, blah, blah. But like, it's like, you guys know that they're like people of color and queer people that live there, right? Because like places like California and New York are too expensive.
Yeah, Texas, good for some things. 99 Ranch, great market for Asian people, but abortion, not so good, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this saying, like, everyone's saying don't mess with Texas, but I'm like, no, we need to mess more with Texas right now. This is this is really
Fuck
bad.
with Texas.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the article that we read, one of many, just really highlights a few narratives as well from, Burmese women, just showing them like how hard it is. It's like you don't just have a family member you can call to drive you 3 states away to do an abortion. You don't have documentation, so that's another issue, and you don't have money at all. So It's a lot different than people on Twitter at first when they're talking about Roe versus Wade. They're like, oh, now we just have to go across the state border or something. And it's like, no, it's not. It's not that easy for some other people, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I can't even imagine, like, I personally do not know. I mean, we live in New York, so I imagine if I needed an abortion, I could go to Planned Parenthood. But
yeah,
if, you know, I lived in Alabama, like, I don't know how I would get an abortion. Like, I don't know how I would begin to navigate that, especially if I didn't have the money or, you know, God, if I didn't speak the language, that'd be awful. Or even if you did know, like, how to get all those things, like, if you're an immigrant, like, how are you going to get to that next state, right?
Yeah.
How are you going to come back? Like, me coordinating with my parents to pick me up from the airport is already, like, hard. Yeah, exactly, so how much more for this?
Dude, after school pickups also very,
it's hard. It's hard.
Oh my God. Lots of memories of, you know, my parents showing up like 2 hours later or 1 hour later.
Yeah.
the last person sitting on the sidewalk. Yeah.
Did we have the same childhood?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's fucking depressing. It would be cool to, like, I'm sure this is out there, or I hope this is out there and I'm just not aware of it, but, like, community groups that, like, put together material on, like, how to get an abortion in, like, XYZ languages, you know, things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it seems like there are a few groups here, but yeah, I at least from what I see right now, it seems like the infrastructure could still use some work.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's move on to a different topic, our second topic of the week. So Aaron and I decided to get a subscription to Juggernaut, which is a South Asian publication, to, you know, stay more in the loop on what's happening with South Asian diaspora. And one of the articles we wanted to talk about today was how there is a rise of South Asian studies in U.S. colleges. Aaron, your thoughts on the article and what you got out of that?
Yeah, so I'd say the biggest takeaway is how there are so many similarities in terms of struggles between East Asian studies and South Asian studies. So I'd say first, the amount of white professors. That cracked me up when I read it. You know, East Asian studies famously having many crusty looking white guys, you know, maybe wearing glasses or, you know, wearing a rice paddy hat, right? Being the heads or co-chairs of East Asian studies.
Yeah.
And a very similar thing is going on with South Asian studies right now. I'd say second, something kind of interesting is that even within a lot of these South Asian studies programs, many of them primarily focus on India or even India only, I would say. And so there's a lot of critique right now that South Asia is more than just India, maybe similar to how, you know, East Asia is not just China, right?
Right.
So I think there's a lot of that parallel going on. What do you think?
I agree with your analysis in terms of, like, the white crusty guy. It's interesting though, because, like, I feel like for East Asians, I typically think of, like, this old crusty, like, white dude, you know, or not even, he doesn't even have to be old, just, you know, crusty and white. But, like, when I think of, like, South Asian people, white people, if that makes sense, like the appropriators, I think of, like, a white woman who's like, I'm really into yoga and, like, eating and, like, all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the healthy movement. Yeah, a lot of white women doing yoga.
Yeah.
Chai tea, right?
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. Like, of course, it's fucking Berkeley who has, like, the Department of South, you know, like, all the Asian studies departments. Like, of course, I feel like California has, like, a monopoly on, like, Asian American activism sometimes. But just wanted to shout out the Berkeley South Asian Radical Walking Tour. They do a history tour of just South Asian activism in the Bay, which I think is super cool. And if we ever go out there, I would love to do that sometime. And then the thing that I found funny is that there was, like, one university that has 3 separate majors within East Asian studies. Like, you can get a major in China studies, Korea studies, and Japan studies. But South Asia only has, like, one umbrella degree.
Yeah, or sometimes it's not even a major. It's just, like, a minor or certificate, is what they're calling it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different across states. I think another interesting thing was that right now, most of the South Asian studies programs are at Ivy Leagues that don't
Yes,
have,
yes.
boo, no, that they don't have that many Asian people, right? Like Brown University, I'm seeing has about 15% Asian people compared to a lot of state schools, like, University of Washington has about 30% Asian people. So in terms of percentage and raw number, it's a lot higher. But so these are like the state schools that need Asian studies, but they don't have nearly as much funding. So it's so I'm just like, at Ivy Leagues, it might just be mainly white students in these South Asian studies classes.
Oh my God. Yeah, you're right. Dang. I didn't even think about it like that. I was just like, yes, this is good that like South Asian studies is getting funding, but also like, I don't know about you, but like when I get an email from Columbia that's like, it's time to donate, I'm like, no, fuck off. How do you have my email again?
Yeah. Time to set up 3 more filters.
Right.
Yeah. It's so annoying. I mean, obviously Ivy Leagues have so much money, but they're also just not the most diverse. So it's truly, I think these East Asian studies and South Asian studies will be like at least 50% white. And then those people might go on to be the professors. When I actually think about South Asian studies professors, I also, I can see the white woman who's really into yoga and like chai, quote, chai tea lattes, or an old crusty white guy with British accent.
The 2 genders. Yeah, no, well, but the thing about like from the British angle, I've heard that like across the pond, when you say Asian in the UK, people actually think of South Asian people first before they think of. So I will say, like, oh, okay, like if he has a British accent.
Oh, he probably knows it. Oh, yeah. That's exactly why he might teach in South Asian studies in America. Yeah.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say, there was like a paragraph towards the bottom that like talked about how it's like learning in a school environment. Argued the importance of learning heritage without the biases of their home communities. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like talking to your family and talking to your like aunties about like this history feels like it really like, brings the history to life, blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking about like when my parents talk about like the Marcos regime, for example. And like, surely your professors, whether they're, white or like of the diaspora themselves, have their own biases.
Yeah.
But like the article talked about how this guy from an upper caste family learned about caste oppression through his like own studies in school, which I thought was like really interesting. So I guess like all this to say is like the importance of talking to your parents and like seeking from like I guess institutions, and then I would throw on do your own research too.
Yeah. Similar stories, but with grandparents about World War II and stuff like that. Way better than the textbook.
Yeah.
All right. So topic number 3, we're going a little bit New York City. So New York recently passed a new gun law that will prevent people from carrying guns in many popular places in New York City. It's a very, very long list, but the summary is like they're banned definitely in Times Square, healthcare facilities, childcare, playgrounds, libraries, zoos, amusement centers, theaters. It's a very long list of anywhere where a mass shooting could happen going into effect right now. Jerry, thoughts?
That's so vague. Like anywhere a mass shooting can happen, there's 8 million people in New York. You just shoot out your window in New York and like you've caused a mass shooting. Like what are you talking about? Hey, thanks for listening to the podcast. Sorry to interrupt this episode. We wanted to do a special announcement. If you're in the New York City area, we're having our first in-person event on September 11th, the day after the Mid-Autumn Festival. We'll be hosting a picnic in Prospect Park near the Picnic House from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. So check out our Instagram for more information. And lastly, please don't forget to give us 5-star reviews on Apple or Spotify. It really helps the pod out, and it's free. Cool. And now, back to the episode.
Well, sorry. It doesn't say that in the paper, but no,
I know. But like, I get the thought behind the process. It's just like, you know, like there's way too many people here. Like, why not just make the entire city a zone? Like, I'm confused.
Yeah, I guess just for a quick background too. So the reason New York even did this is because the Supreme Court originally shut down New York State's original firearm law, which said you can't have a gun unless you have a quote proper cause for it, like a really specific reason to carry it. So which, I mean, yeah, that seems cool. But yeah, as soon as that was struck down, New York City just went like, okay, so you can carry it everywhere except this list of like 500 places, which is like almost all of New York City. Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I hope that this feels like a. So they declared Times Square one of those zones, and my question is like this better not. Is this a ploy to get us to go back to Times Square? Like,
Yeah.
Like
You're
I
gonna need to
don't want to
sweeten the
go.
pot more. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not enough. But also, you know, when we first talked about this, like this is coming right after yesterday, where there were like 2 shootings in East Village, and part of me, like in terms of how I feel about this bill, is like this. I don't think any bill will stop someone who actually wants to shoot somebody from carrying a gun, right? Like New York City is trying to make people aware of this by putting all these giant road signs, digital and paper and stuff everywhere, saying this is a gun-free zone. But it's like New Yorkers don't read. Like every single subway has a giant sign saying wear your mask. Masks are still required on the MTA, and the entire train there's like maybe 20% of people wearing masks. So in a similar aspect, I'm like, it feels like a bit of an empty gesture. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I would go even further to say Americans don't read, because I don't know about you, but my school had a sign, like a giant yellow sign outside that was like, "This is a gun-free zone." Like, and I didn't have like a gun scare. Actually, there was one down the street, but technically that was not in the zone. There was a shooting down the street from my school when I went.
Oh my God.
It was down the street, so technically not a school shooting. But I'm just saying, like, school shootings happen, right? And like, it's not. I don't understand. Like, it does. How is a sign going to stop someone? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know. This is again another one of the instances where we're being what's the word, reactive instead of proactive. Like this is just saying. Actually, I don't know. I guess it's like you're proactively putting up signs, but it's like you're not. It's not really going to do anything, right? It's still the shooting's going to happen, and then you're going to have to be like, oh, it was so bad, it was terrible. We'll do our best to stop the next one in the future. Da, da, da.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you mentioned the shootings in the East Village. I didn't know about that, but I saw just a TikTok last night where someone apparently brought a gun on the subway. And this was not like a recap of like the shooting that happened in April. So yeah, how long have you lived in New York?
4 years, 5 years.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going on 6. And I will say that like, I feel like the past 9 months, I've heard more guns in New York and on the subway than like I have in like the past, you know, years that I've lived here since.
It is very alarming. I mean, I don't know if this is even a bright side, but they interviewed Eric Adams, and he also found this ridiculous. He was like, think about how ridiculous the gun situation is. You know, think about it, that we actually have to say in our city that we have to say somewhere is a gun-free zone. And part of me was just thinking about that meme, like, you know, this is heartbreaking. Oh, worst person you know makes a great point.
Oh, that's interesting. That's not the way I went. It's like it's like when President Biden like tweeted something, like he said something, I can't even remember what the topic was, but he was basically like, something must be done, and I was like, dude, you're the president.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's
sir, you're the mayor. Like,
yeah, you could, it'd be harsher. And most guns in New York City are also being held by cops, most likely. I don't know, but
yeah. My problem with the zones is just like, if it's a gun-free zone, that implies when you leave the zone, it is a gun-full zone. You know what I mean?
It's like the worst game of tag or something. It's like the safety zone. And then,
oh yeah. Man, it's been a minute since I played tag. But yeah, I think that's kind of hard because like I feel like New Yorkers in general, like it's already kind of hard to delineate where a neighborhood stops and starts. You know, like you can ask like, you can ask a room of 10 people, like, hey, what streets does like the East Village cover? And like, you'll get 10 different answers.
Yeah.
So I don't know how this is going to work. It reminds me of like, this is a ridiculous reference, but like in Hamilton, when they would like, they reference crossing the river to New Jersey to do duels with pistols because it was legal in New Jersey, but not in New York to duel. Like, how is this any different?
Yeah. We'll see. I definitely want to just keep a track of how many shootings there are, after this whole thing goes into effect. But I guess we'll have to follow up in a few months. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So switching news a bit. I guess this is our Asian CEO segment. Starbucks recently announced a new CEO, Laxman Narasimhan. He's Indian CEO. He used to work for a company called Reckitt, which is a UK-based company. They made several popular products, the Durex condoms, Lysol, and Mucinex. I feel like he had a really good COVID in terms of business. But yeah, now he's taking over Starbucks. He's going to start shadowing in October, and he'll officially take over in April. Jerry, what are your thoughts on this amazing new Asian billionaire?
I'm not gonna. Who the fuck still drinks Starbucks? No offense. No, I probably just insulted all of Middle America right then. Okay, this is probably stupid of me, but like, I didn't realize that they picked people who are company outsiders. Like, why wouldn't you promote from within? Right? Like,
yeah, I think this guy, he was also an outsider at his previous company I was reading, but he just turned it around really well. So I think that was part of the reasoning why they also brought him in to try to turn Starbucks around, given all the unionization and other stuff.
Did he turn it around, or did his company just make products that had a really good pandemic year? It was literally condoms, Lysol, and then like a third. I can't remember what the other things were.
Mucinex.
Come on.
No, it seems like he also just turned it. He was really good as a manager.
Yeah, no. I gotta give him a little credit.
This Reckitt place was going through a lot of shit before he came around. Yeah. It's really hard to see where he stands on labor issues. Like when I was reading into this, I was basically like, okay, you brought him in. Is he going to squash the union or is he going to support the union? And nothing I could see so far. I even looked up his previous company. I typed like, Lysol Union, Reckitt Union, Mucinex Union.
I did the same thing.
there's the Mucinex commercials have them all unionizing, right?
It's been a minute.
Oh, I thought
all the germs or something,
all the germs
right?
unionize with each other, yeah, and then they get destroyed by Mucinex.
They get destroyed anyway. Cool.
Yeah.
So Mucinex is a union buster, like literally. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's really hard to tell. But they also brought it in because I think of his international experience, not necessarily in India, but also in China and in other companies, because Starbucks is really suffering in China, who apparently drinks a lot of COVID.
Yeah.
Drinks a lot of coffee. Sorry. Drinks a lot of COVID.
Yeah. Drinks a lot of COVID. This man's a China virus.
I was mixing up the sentence because the sentence says,
No, I got it.
COVID restrictions hurt Starbucks in China a lot, which I guess they also drink a lot of Starbucks. Yeah. I guess one thing I would be concerned about is how does his employment pair with this other person named Amanda Stanfield. Do you know who she is?
No, that didn't come up in my research.
I saw a tweet about this, but she's Starbucks' new manager of global intelligence for retail. And
what is global intelligence?
See, that's the key thing, right? And the thing is, she was a former CIA agent.
Oh, there you go.
Well, also a former Pinkerton employee, which is also an intelligence firm that are both known for union busting and squashing workers. So I feel like they hired her as like the propaganda brain to tear down the union.
Well, I will say this. So the new CEO, he spent 19 years at McKinsey, and I recommend reading this Atlantic article called "McKinsey Ruined the Middle Class." The TLDR is that McKinsey is like famously an anti-union consulting group. Like people will hire them. I think Google hired them actually when they were like trying to bust their own union, the Google union,
wow.
Alphabet union, I think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he spent almost 20 years there. I do think that's an interesting detail because the guy's like 50. So that's like a lot of his working life.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that in context of like, oh, Starbucks is like unionizing all over, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know. Bad news bears.
Bad news bears. Yeah, I was going to say this week's poll should be, do you think this new CEO is going to union bust Starbucks or not union bust Starbucks? I would.
100%.
100% union bust. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm already waiting for all the articles about, in Next Shark, like, Asian, new Asian CEO of Starbucks, great for Asian representation and Asian corporate leadership.
Have to add them to the infographic.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to close out on an super interesting topic. So if you've been on the internet before, you may or may not have heard of this, what's the right word? Social media personality named Ollie London, who has famously gone under, I think, 32 surgeries to look more like Jimin from BTS. And they put out a apology on Instagram. Like it was not a Notes app apology. It was like a Google Doc, like multi-page apology.
Google Doc screenshots.
Aaron, what are your thoughts? Yeah.
Okay, so for full transparency, I first read the entire Instagram apology, and then I also watched the 12-minute YouTube apology. So that's the context I'm coming into this. But I guess just talking about the Instagram first, I would say this apology was like a 5 out of 10. It's very average. Mm-hmm. I think the benefit is that Ollie London did apologize, but they apologized more for trying to look too much like Jimin as opposed to, just talking about how much damage they've done for Asian Americans in general, or Asian diaspora, Asian people in general. And they still do identify as Korean on the inside, which they also meant. I'm like, okay. And I felt like there was a little bit of gaslighting or something. It was like, I'm sorry for all the Asian community who may have found my obsession too creepy or unhealthy. It's like, oh, I may have, offended you by some chance. But I do think that it sounds like they're at least starting the journey for self-reflection. So that's why I kind of give it a 5 out of 10. What are your thoughts on this?
Okay. Look, what sucks is like, I feel like he actually said the words, I apologize, which Awkwafina did not in her Notes app apology. Yeah. I'm pretty sure she did not say the words, I'm sorry, or I apologize.
Yeah.
So, we do give it a 5 out of 10 rating, which is average, but sadly, average is not bad.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess to rate it, it's like Ollie said, I apologize, which is a little worse than I'm sorry, but we'll take it. They did describe the actions that they did, the surgeries and vaguely, and they also provided a lot of childhood trauma or whatever that kind of explained why they were this way, and they apparently had a really life-changing Korea experience post-grad, and then they kind of just ended it with the weird, like, I'm still Korean on the inside, though. I don't know. The more I talk about this, the more I'm like, maybe it's more like a 3 out of 10.
Yeah. This person, like, he probably would have been a Korea study major. You know what I mean? Or maybe he was.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. So he says, at age 23, I moved to Korea and lived there for 1 year, and it changed me as a person forever. This is some real eat, pray, love kind of thing going on, but for identity.
Yeah. I don't like that they said that something, I have great love and respect of Asian people after the incredible kindness and acceptance they have shown me over the years. Okay, one. Yeah. They targeted Korean people primarily and mostly. Like, don't say Asian people when you mean Korean.
Right.
2, you did not meet the right Asian people, I feel like. Because if they were showing you incredible kindness and acceptance, like, I don't...
Yeah.
You were not meeting the right ones.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, the thing that I think was really missing was the accountability factor.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to get reverse surgeries, right? That's a lot of surgeries to reverse. You know, you gotta undo 32, Control Z 32 times. That's
right.
That's probably not gonna happen. And they don't really mention what else they're going to do to address the harm they've caused. So the accountability aspect is definitely what's really, really lacking. I do think it's really funny that they're not even fully sorry for looking Korean. They're fully sorry for trying to impersonate Jimin specifically. Like, this could have been a DM to one person.
I would think Jimin has him blocked. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I will say the most Asian thing about Ollie London is the sheer amount of money they've spent on their appearance. They spent like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah. I don't know. The thing I'll close with is like, they're 32. I think I got the numbers wrong. They've probably had more surgeries than 32. I had 32 on my sheet, but I'm realizing it says their age is 32.
Oh, but it's
a lot.
The NBC Asian American says London says they've undergone 32 operations, which includes 6 nose jobs, eye surgery, and a forehead lift.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, okay, 32 is the number of operations.
Oh, okay. Well, they were born in 1990, and mathematically speaking, I think that's 32.
Yeah,
right?
32. Yeah, 32.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe that's why they picked right
surgery
now.
every year.
Yeah. Oh, 32nd birthday, 32 surgeries. Time to apologize.
Right. Well, okay. The thing is like people in the comments. Yes, I read the comments. We're talking about how they recently married. They recently got married, and their husband supposedly looks like Jimin.
Oh God.
Sure. And then like the worst part about this, which wow, can you believe that like the whole Jimin lookalike husband thing was not the worst part, but rather this person, the husband, is 19 years old.
Oh wait,
which
what?
Is like, yeah, like
I did not know this.
Yeah, Danny Richardson, 19.
Oh my!
They got married a couple weeks ago.
Wait, hold up. This Ollie London is saying this person looks like Jimin. This person is white, right?
Yeah, it's literally the hair. That's it.
It's another white person with just bleached, parted hair. Oh my goodness! Wow, and a 13-year age gap. Interesting. Well, this like you mentioned earlier, this is still better than Awkwafina's apology. I'll give it that. Purely because the words "I apologize" were actually in the apology.
Yeah.
The bar
like
is
the
really
bare
low.
minimum.
Yeah.
It's truly. That's because like Awkwafina's apology wasn't really an apology. If you don't say "I'm sorry" or "I apologize," then what is it? You're just hearing yourself talk. That's a TED Talk.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm also interested in following up on this story in a few months. It seems like the beginning of a personal internal transformation, but yeah, definitely worth covering because of how many memes and how often Ollie London.
I think we have an Ollie London meme.
Yeah, we have an Ollie London. That's how much this one person has like permeated Asian American discourse.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, hope you enjoyed the episode. Again, you can follow the podcast at Politically Asian Podcast on Instagram, at Politic Asian Pod on Twitter, or email us at politicallyasianpodcast@gmail.com. If you really want to help us out, please leave an Apple or Spotify 5-star review. Cool. Thanks for listening, and
bye.